All right, so let's get to this. I usually don't address Trevor Noah because I don't want to punch down. But Trevor Noah now, what's interesting too, this is something really important. Trevor Noah, all of his videos are raising money for a nonprofit. If you check it out on YouTube right now for some COVID relief thing. Oh. He also, his videos, if you look, they have these really high view counts, but very low interaction rates comparatively. So they're always auto. I don't know about you. Let me know if you notice this. Always when I'm watching content, usually more conservative content on YouTube, it auto plays Seth Meyers or Trevor Noah.
Yeah.
I have spoken with a lot of people, a lot of leftist people. I don't know anyone who listens to Trevor Noah or watches Trevor Noah. I don't know anyone who likes Trevor Noah. I don't know anyone who would even give him like a save the date if he was a relative thrice removed with Trevor Noah. And he's a walking straw man. So just think of it this way. How much accountability we have on this show. We have to, even though it's a comedy show, we place our sources. You can always click the link in the description, louderwithcrowder.com. Trevor Noah can just make claims and use the most basic logical fallacies that you will learn in your first semester at college, and no one will ever call him on it. So this is a perfect example. And I also think, look, it's dangerous. I think this is dangerous. And I'm not saying someone he can speak however he wants. The issue is when Trevor Noah can go out there and advocate that men beat the hell out of women in sports and that children should be allowed on puberty blockers, and then the powers that be silence and throttle opposing opinions. That's when you get into danger. Yeah. Danger is not different voices. Danger is eliminating voices so that people hear only one. And then they bitch about echo chambers.
Yeah.
So here, let's go to Trevor Noah, a couple of claims here that he makes regarding transgender athletes, males in female sports, and puberty blockers, and go through it piece by piece. Clip A.
Is that when it comes to major issues with tons of evidence, like climate change or coronavirus, or gun violence, they're like, let's wait until we see more evidence. But now there's an issue that barely even exists, and they're like, we don't got time for evidence. There's a plastic trophy
This is like 2009 YouTube.
Now, the one thing that people making these laws always point to is a single story from Connecticut a few years ago.
I've got 15.
That's not evidence that trans kids are stealing opportunities from everyone else. I think conservatives are missing the entire point of youth sports in the first place. Because it's not really about the tiny minority of kids who will go on to get scholarships and perform at an elite level. It's not about that.
That's exactly what sports are about.
Achieving their personal best, developing good habits and self-esteem, and learning to bully the chess team.
No. Sports are exactly about being the best. They're exactly about being elite and being the best. Maybe some people want some self-esteem or discipline, but the purpose for sports is to test oneself, improve oneself, and be the best.
You don't want to assume.
He doesn't understand what sports are about. He uses right away one of the very first logical fallacies that you learn about, right? You have the logical fallacy of the appeal to authority fallacy, the correlation does not equal causation fallacy. And this is one that I'll use Latin for you, a little bit of the Romance languages. It's called argumentum ad novitatem. I think I'm saying that correctly, but it's a fallacy, and let me read the textbook definition. This fallacy is the opposite of appeal to tradition, and that it is an attempt to claim that the newness or modernity, Flanderism of something is evidence of its truth and superiority. The novelty of the idea or proposition does not entail its truth or falsity. So he's saying there's no evidence here that, look, there's no problem. Well, look, because we haven't done it yet. Since the beginning of since world history, we haven't allowed men to dominate women in sports. That was partially the basis for Title IX, right? Where you wanted equal opportunity with women's sports. You wouldn't need it if women were as good as men and people actually wanted to watch women who were lower than the varsity high school team. You wouldn't have needed Title IX. Also, by the way, to give you an example, this would be like me suggesting today a 90% income tax rate.
Okay.
People go, we don't want this. We don't want, and then 6 months from now, people are still trying to repeal it, saying this is going to be horrible. This is devastating. Me going, well, there's no evidence of bankruptcy yet because you just started it. You just started allowing men into women's sports. So don't try and act like you have a body of evidence.
Yeah, well, and a couple of the things that he listed, it's a bad argument, but he even set it up poorly because he's listing things that there is wide debate about, right? If you believe in climate change having this gigantic effect versus having a small effect, if China's going to play a role, if it's man-made, if it's a natural cause thing, if it's both, like all of these things are worth discussing. And he's like, these are all terrible things that we know exist fully now.
Yeah, he says conservatives want to wait for more evidence, and then he tries to imply, but in other words, he's saying, well, listen, it's climate. He's saying this: climate change is settled. as well as men competing in women's sports. The evidence is in that there's no unfair playing field. So here's the deal. We don't have a control. What do you do in any other form of science? Because people have to throw this around. Trust the science. Trust the science, like it's Gaia, and they have to kneel at the altar. Science is an ever-evolving really,
discipline,
you could even say art right now, certainly, because there's a lot of finessing with science. See the World Health Organization. But what you have to do if you don't already, let's say with a medication or you're looking at a supplement, right? Anyone out there takes supplements. You don't have the golden standard, a double-blind placebo-controlled trial.
Right.
You don't have it yet, but maybe some people are making claims. What do you do in that case? You make an inference from the science you have available. So I'm just using this as a simple example. We don't have placebo-controlled clinical trials. What they do is go, okay, but do we have any controlled studies? Right? Okay, can we look at the meta-analysis? Can we look at sample studies? Can we compare populations? And then they frame it in. Because there is usually some science available, it's not conclusive. Now, the good news here is we have both available science and conclusive evidence. He just lied about there's only one example. I have 15 here, and they all involve multiple world records. In trials, not even competition. It's not even close. So what science do we have available to us, considering that we haven't done a mass experiment with women having the crap kicked out of them? Okay. Let's look at men versus women, their hormone levels, okay? A man's average testosterone level, 300 to 1,200 nanograms per deciliter. A woman, 20 to 70. Okay, those numbers may not mean, but it's about 10 times the amount. Testosterone, what does it do? This is the science. There's no doubt about this. It enhances red blood cell production. It decreases fat. It increases muscle, increases bone density, connective tissue. Men have 24 to 65% greater bone density than men. Men have higher lung capacity than women. Men have higher aerobic capacity than women. They have higher VO2 maxes, okay? Now before we get to the direct competition that they're talking about, because there are more examples in Connecticut, let's look at the world records. Men's world record 1 mile run, 3 minutes, 43 seconds. Ooh. The women's, 4 minutes and 12 seconds. That's an entire minute more. The men's 800 freestyle swim, 7:32, okay? Women's, 7:59. Men's powerlifting squat. This is raw, by the way. 1,102 pounds. Okay, this is raw without gear. Women's, 705 pounds. There's a lot more at stake here than a plastic trophy. Okay, this is something people need to understand. First off, the fundamental reason for sports is to be the best. This is the issue with social justice wokeness. This is the same root cause of people kneeling at the football game, of people saying that you better pay the WNBA players just as much as you pay LeBron James. It's them saying, well, sports aren't about who's best. It's about it being fair. It's about ensuring equal outcomes. No. Football is about winning the Super Bowl. Football is about being the best team and filling the seats, okay? College sports are about winning the national title. That's what it is. And I've always said this, if you enter into the sporting arena without the intent to be the best, you're wasting your time. We're not talking about recreational leagues, bowling. I don't care. You want to have men play against women in ping pong? Fine, be my guest. It's hard to tell the difference from the players there anyway. Here's the thing, maybe not all high school athletes want to compete at the elite level, but some do. Now, Trevor Noah said that this example doesn't matter, but it does. And he also didn't tell you the whole truth about this example. It happened at one time in Connecticut. I don't know if he doesn't actually look at the research that's presented or if he's just a compulsive liar. I'm inclined to believe the latter because it's one paragraph into the story that he had up there. It's in the picture. Don't show the picture yet because the picture is hysterical. So female Connecticut high school athletes, not only are they cheated out of athletic scholarships, in Connecticut, the number 1 and 2 placing track winners were transgender male to females. Look at that. That's 2 transgenders, and the women aren't even close. They took the top 2 spots. He used one example, but that has 2 sub-examples.
It just makes common sense.
Trevor Noah, you don't even look at the titles of what you're presenting. Okay, let's go through some other examples. I don't know if I'm pronouncing this right. I don't care. Cece Tefler of Franklin Pierce University won the NCAA championships in the women's 400-meter run, of course, as a biological male, or as we used to call it, male. But this person claimed that their height of 6 feet was a disadvantage because it was windy.
Oh, sure.
Get blown over.
Yeah.
This isn't sailing, sweetheart. Sorry, handsome. Rachel McKinnon, here's the thing, not a biological male. I know because it's confusing. You're like, Rachel? No, that's not a name that can go both ways. You're not wrong.
Yeah.
Won a women's cycling world championship. But also set the world record in the trial. And here's what I want you to watch in this clip is how this Rachel McKinnon, this trans athlete, just rockets past this woman without that much effort and then takes their feet off the pedals to coast because I want to win, but not by that much because then they're gonna make me get on more hormone blockers and I don't want to fracture my femur. So watch this, setting the world record.
And coming down the line over the
on
top,
the outside lane,
McKinnon takes it into world champion.
Now look,
Canada.
Yeah.
Years of hard work paid off for Rachel McKinnon as she became the first trans athlete to win a world championship in track cycling.
I barely managed to do it. I passed her with about 15 meters to go before the line, and then that was it, world champion.
After her victory, the online blowback was swift and fierce, with people suggesting McKinnon shouldn't have been allowed to compete. Stop cheating. Enter the men's competitions, reads one of the tamer tweets. Others were more hateful.
Yes, more hateful. Probably from those fathers and mothers and people with sisters. Those dicks.
By the way, I love how she says, it was only the last 15 meters. That's called strategy in that race. That's what you're supposed to do.
Set the world record, too, in the 35 to 39 sprint.
Oh. Yeah. Well, it's 2 world records now, right?
Many world records.
Just keep having the records.
Yeah. World champion. Yeah, whatever.
Hope you enjoy your lot, feminism. Here's another one. Hannah Mounsey. And this clip is just hysterical. I don't know if Trevor Noah would never run this because, he doesn't want to. He's not aiming to be funny.
I'm Hannah Mounsey. Pronouns are she and her. And
I thought the pronouns were third Hemsworth brother.
Player, business owner, dog mum.
It's like Brock Lesnar grew some hair.
It's about.
Can you hear me now?
Being treated with the respect they deserve.
Come on.
No, watch it get so much worse. Watch. Who just bit it? He just stuffed her. She just stuffed her. We won again.
Come on, that's not fair.
And it's just this is a lie that is agreed upon, right? Where everyone just sits here and goes like, oh yeah, and then oh yeah, Hannah back there just in the huddle, yeah, hey, come on, that's a foul, but sometimes gets a little handsy. And we all just go along with this.
Giant walks into the court. You're like, you must be a referee, right? No, I'm Hannah.
What are you suggesting? No, we're right there. Hey, here's a lady half your size. Would you like to punch her in the face? Yeah, it's what I do. It's kind of my thing. I punch him because we're on an equal playing field.
Watch Louder with Crowder live, Monday through Thursday, 10 a.m. Eastern.